Hi everyone, welcome to January 2018 stock market portfolio review. Kind of like the first videos I ever intended to do on YouTube, which kind of like, I got a bit addicted to making videos quite often. Originally I was like, I'll just continue like reviews of how my portfolio's doing. But since then I've kind of extended it into stocks that I'm buying, watching, a couple of reviews into what is going on in the stock market with like Q4 earnings. But actually now making the videos that I intended to do. So we're going to review my full stock portfolio. I'll talk about a couple of changes that I'm thinking about making and about how stocks did over the month, and kind of probably just touch on maybe some important news about stocks that are going on really, and just kind of really touch on stock market news for each stock that's on this list. Overall, we were up 100.3%, which is really good. I didn't expect to be anything near that in the first month. But yeah, 100.3% we were up in the first month of January, which is really good. This video obviously ended on the 31st, so obviously we saw on Friday that there was a big massive dip in the market. So this is kind of like gone down a little bit now if I were to do this, but that won't be introduced until February's review. So we'll start off from the top. Adobe up 11.27% so far. Adobe actually reported earnings before the actual new year. It was in December time, around the 14th or 15th. And Adobe actually did produce really good numbers. Since it reported numbers, it's actually been on quite a good strong streak. News-wise, not too much news about Adobe. Investment-wise, am I buying any more shares in Adobe? No, I'm happy with what I've got. I'm not selling them, I'm not buying any. I'm happy with what's going on in Adobe. Number 2, PayPal. PayPal was up 15.5%, or it was, until the news that came out the other day. Obviously, I think most people that are watching this video will know. PayPal is no longer to be working with eBay. eBay have gone for a smaller company that is based in Europe. How much does that affect me as a shareholder? Not much really. Currently, eBay makes about, I think it's 13% of PayPal's revenue, which is obviously quite a big chunk, but it's nothing major. The reason why PayPal split from eBay back in 2015 was to grow its revenue elsewhere, to separate from eBay, to make a bigger name for itself, which it has been doing. And more importantly, I think with eBay, I'm more fussed about the e-commerce side of it, with like Shopify and stuff like that. PayPal is also, because of its contract with eBay, has been limited to the amount of companies that it can work with. So I know that, for example, PayPal is now talking to bigger companies like Google and Amazon about how they can help them. So overall, it's not a bad thing that eBay's stopped using PayPal, because it's got PayPal out of that contract to go make money elsewhere, and I think PayPal will make that 13% up from somewhere else. So I'm not too fussed. Buying shares, am I buying any more shares? I did think about it, but I didn't. And selling shares, really, probably not. The only thing I might do is I might sell a couple of them shares to free up, maybe investing somewhere else, because I could see another couple of shareholders waiting a while for the Q1 earnings before they go back into PayPal. Visa did okay on their earnings, but it still got absolutely stung. But before that, it was up 8.49% in January, which is a really good month for Visa. Mastercard was up 11.25%. The numbers that Mastercard actually reported in their Q4 earnings were really good. It actually led me to buy a couple more shares into Mastercard. I was really happy about them. Microsoft did quite well in their earnings. Such a really cheap stock for the company that you're buying. I bought more shares in Microsoft. Microsoft is still my number 1 position by far. With the price that it's at and the earnings that Microsoft can pull out, I really think it's going to have a good year. Microsoft, that was up 10.54%. And my 2 new stocks down here, Amazon and Google. Amazon was up 22.03%. I invested earlier in the month in Amazon. Just so I was reading a couple of reports in them, and I was like, this company's it's just going places. I've got to get into it. Ideally, on this list, I would like Microsoft, Amazon, and Alibaba to be my three biggest positions. I don't know if that's going to happen, because I'll have to buy a few more shares in Amazon yet to get up there, and same with Alibaba, and Google as well. Really good numbers in the Q4. Didn't do that well in the last couple of days, really. Kind of went down a little bit, but still up 10.16%. And also missing on off that list is Alibaba. Alibaba was up 11%. I wasn't able to fit it onto the board, but yeah, another good month from Alibaba. Numbers that they pulled out for Q4 were excellent as well, so I'll probably end up buying a little bit more of a bigger share in that sooner or later. So that's kind of where I'm at now. There's one stock missing off here. That's Starbucks. I've sold my shares completely in Starbucks now. No longer a shareholder. It just wasn't going anywhere really. Growth was slowing down. So I sold my shares off in them. So that's my January review, guys. I'll be doing more like Q4 earnings and talking about them in a little bit, and how I think they did. So give the video a like. Tell me how your Q4 earnings or how your January month went, and I'll see you on the next video.